So here's my template for the crossbow handle. It's made out of two pieces of paper just because I drew the first one and I realised I wanted to extend the handle a bit. And this is the saw blade, or the hacksaw blade that I'm using for the crossbow arms. It's got a pretty good amount of tension to it, as you can see. So I'm starting off by tracing the handle around the wood. So I started off trying to use a junior hacksaw, but it just wasn't cutting it. So then I went to the big saw. After cutting out the main body, I used a smaller saw to get the finer details. The cutting left it looking pretty rough, so it's time to sand it down closer to the final shape. A good tip for sanding in the round corners is to wrap sandpaper around something like a drill bit that's already circular, and it helps you get a really smooth arc. Otherwise, just wrap the sandpaper around something like a cork block or a scrap piece of wood if you don't have cork. This piece of wood here was going to make up the nice side panels on the side of the handle, so I was just going to chop it in half. How I was going to do this is I'm going to stick the panels onto the wooden handle, then I'm going to trim around the excess using the wooden handle as a template. Remember, before gluing them together, you have to rough up both surfaces of the wood so that the glue can really bond to it well. Sorry about the goofy glasses here, they're actually just meant to record video, which is why I had them on. What I was trying to do here was make a groove for the crossbow bolt to travel down when it's being propelled forwards, and I thought maybe I could get a drill bit and spin it really fast and push it into the wood. This ended up not working and is actually quite dangerous, and you should never do this. So instead I decided to cut a line down the middle of the channel using a saw, and then use that to guide a square file, one of my micro files, to get kind of like a diamond cut into the wood, and then finish that off with a round file so that the bolt can sit in there very nicely. Now it's time to mark the cut line for where the crossbow arms are going to be inserted into the handle. I had to make sure this is really accurate, so I took my time with this. Now you can see how the crossbow arm fits into the wood. Because I used the same hacksaw blade to cut the line, the hacksaw blade that I'm using for the arms just fits in perfectly. And because the plank of wood that the bolt is sliding on is going to go over top of that, that is what locks the arm in place. I've now glued one of the red wood panels onto the side of the handle, and I'm just trimming off the excess. When you release the string from the crossbow, it's going to fly upwards, and there's a possibility that it could, the string could go over top of the bolt. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put a extra piece of wood at the back to stop the string from going up too high. I've trimmed down both side panels now, and it's looking pretty good, but it's a bit rough and needs some sanding. I've finished cutting all the pieces now, and hopefully this will give you a better idea of how it all fits together and how the piece of wood at the back will stop the string from flying up over the crossbow. You also release the string by just lifting your thumb up, which will push the string up and release it. I'm putting in the main crossbow arms now for the last time before gluing on the piece of wood that the bolt's going to slide on. That was also a bit tricky to get in because I had to slip it in underneath the string from the crossbow. I didn't have any kind of bolt to fire out of it that was going to do any good, so I decided to draw my own and 3D print it.